Hey, it's Natalie, and welcome back to Primary Focus, the parent's guide to elementary school. Before we get going, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to tell you a story that I really haven't told anyone before. I don't really want to tell this story, but I think it's perfectly relevant for what this video is about. When I was a kid, I had a really uncomfortable relationship with drawing people. I exclusively drew white people because I could leave their skin blank on white paper or use my peach crayon to color them in. I tactfully avoided drawing people of different skin colors because I really didn't know how to approach it. And I did such a good job avoiding it that it wasn't until I was in the 4th grade that I had to face this issue head on. That year, I co-wrote a story with a classmate named Bryce, who was Black. And if we were going to write a story together where we were both the main characters, I would have to illustrate some pictures with Bryce in them. And this was going to be an issue for me. I couldn't possibly ask Bryce what color crayon he used for his skin because that would be way too embarrassing. And you see, I, like many children growing up in the 80s and 90s, was taught to be colorblind. So even acknowledging that Bryce was Black would lead to an uncomfortable situation. I didn't want Bryce to think that he was different than me or something was wrong with him or that I was racist because I acknowledged the color of his skin. And so, after really thinking it over and trying to figure out what the best thing to do was, I took a deep breath, I picked up a black crayon, and I colored my picture of Bryce black. Y'all, when Bryce called me out on this, the humiliation, but looking back, when I think about his face, it was just disbelief in his eyes. He said, "You didn't just color me black, did you?" And I think I mumbled something back to him about black and white people. And then that's when he told me, "No, use a brown crayon." And that is how I learned to use a brown crayon to color people that aren't peach crayon colored. I've never told that story before, but it has definitely lived with me and influenced a lot of the learning that I've done over the years. That was a huge learning opportunity, and unfortunately was a little embarrassing for both me and definitely for Bryce. I can't imagine what it's like to have to make a correction like that. I've always been the default peach crayon, but I imagine for a kid like Bryce, he probably had to encounter stuff like that a lot, which honestly just sucks. I went to a fairly diverse elementary school, but I was in a bubble, even within my own classroom, and society was telling me not to acknowledge, let alone celebrate differences. And y'all, if you're still out here in the world acting like we are colorblind and we don't see ethnicity or race, then you are missing out. Celebrating our skin tones and our true appearance is so important to acknowledging people's cultural backgrounds. Our cultural identities are just as important as our personal identities, and a peach crayon is not gonna cut it anymore. But the issue is, we're still living in a world of peach crayons. It's a funny little blind spot in education. And unless you're going to go out of your way to teach your child how to color in different skin tones, they're probably gonna stay in their safety zone with the peach or tan or brown crayon that they use for their own selves. There's no state funding for multicultural crayons. There's not even a curriculum to teach this. But you know, I really hated when I was teaching, watching kids use the wrong colors to color each other in, feeling like I as a teacher didn't have the language or the background or the time to be able to teach this. So I decided to take matters into my own hand. This project was something I took on about halfway through my teaching career, year 5, when I was teaching kindergarten, and it was really special to me. It taught me, the adult in the room, about how to speak about different skin tones and backgrounds gracefully with my students, and it taught them about how to have these conversations as well. I want to show you this project and talk through what I did so that this is something you can recreate at home with your kiddos. Throughout this demonstration, I will be using the Crayola multicultural crayons, the Colors of the World collection. I went to my local Target and they were carrying the whole line, so they had 24 packs of the crayons, the colored pencils, and even the markers. I will put some links below. I would really appreciate it if you shopped with my affiliate links. It helps support this channel. You can see on the side here, they've got like swatching for the different colors. They're showing the different swatches here, and I love that they're using these base words. So the base words they're using are almond, golden, and rose. And then they're adding different attributes to them like medium, very light. Here are the rest of the swatches on the other side, and you can see we're continuing on with these words golden, almond, and rose, and then just working with new words like extra deep, deepest, medium deep. I really like these words. These are words that are transferable to using in regular speech. These terms are probably not unfamiliar to you, at least some of them. And if somebody was describing my own skin tone using some of these terms, I think it would feel very natural. Working with the different crayon colors was a lesson that I saved until at least February in kindergarten. This is because kindergartners, though they are capable of understanding we all have different skin tones, are still really learning how to color. So I might have had kids that at the beginning of the year were completely ready for this lesson, but I also had kids in my class that colored everything using a single crayon, real like Harold and the Purple Crayon energy. And you would tell them, hey, people aren't green. And they'd be like, I don't know. This is the crayon that I like. So I use this crayon every time. So you had to kind of like fight through and find a time where, okay, we understand how to color in people, how to do a basic drawing of people, but also looking and seeing, can we manage crayons? It was really important that the crayons stay together and not get dumped out and separated into other crayon boxes. I think it also just continues to send the message, our skin tone is special and it's unique, and we want to respect the colors that we've all picked out for ourselves. And hey, I've got a great free download for you. From my time teaching, I know that it can be so hard to prepare for a conference, and there's a lot covered in a really short period of time. That's why I made this checklist for you. Instead of taking the time to prepare and think through what questions you need, take this checklist along with you. You'll listen to see if you get the answers to the questions, and at the end, if you have anything you didn't check off, that's how you know what to ask the teacher. It's simple, it's no prep on your part, and helps make sure that you're keeping up with your child's performance in school. Best part is, it's completely free. Get the link in the description below. The book that I would read is called The Colors of Us by Katz. I love this book. It came recommended to me to read with these crayons, so I know other teachers are using it too. Katz did a really great job of making illustrations that look like real people, but also keeping it really fun and funky. Throughout this book, they use a lot of food language here, which I love because a lot of people describe their own skin color using food language. I am the color of cinnamon. Mom says she could eat me up. Isabella is chocolate brown, just like the cupcakes we had for her birthday. When we pass by the pizza parlor, Mom and I see Mr. Pellegrino flipping a pizza high in the air. He is the color of pizza crust, a golden brown. And this was always the favorite with my ladies. My babysitter Candy is like a beautiful jewel, bronze and amber. She looks like a princess. So after we read the book, I would introduce the crayons. I would talk about how we often hear people saying white and black when we talk. And so what I would do is swatch this out or draw a face and color it in and just kind of say like, look around this room here. Think about people you've met. Do you know anyone that has like truly black skin? And then I would do the same with the white. I was like, do you know anyone that has like truly white skin? Look, you can't even see this against the paper. Look at Miss Parmenter. This is bouncing right off of me. Nobody has truly black or white skin. All of us have skin that is brown, and it's just kind of different shades of brown. To my delight, a lot of the times kids would be really connected in with what I was saying. It's also just a very easy concept, because I think for me, as soon as I started to hear people talking about the different shades of brown we are, I was like, yeah, that actually does make sense. And that's a lot easier for me to think about and visualize, starting with a shade of brown and then for me, I mean, getting it very, very, very light. So what I would do is I would create swatches. I would let them hold up the swatches to their skin, play around to decide what color works for them. You could even be swatching other people. And actually, I would encourage you to get multiple people around so that they can compare and contrast what they're looking at for their own skin tone versus what somebody else might pick for theirs. Now, I am not going to swatch all of these colors because there are 24 magnificent colors, but I'll just get a few out to kind of show the point. This is light golden, and I might put it against my skin, but honestly it's hard to tell until you really do swatch it out. So I would do just kind of a square shape here, and then I want to label the color of this crayon. In this case, I've got light golden, so I can go back and look at this again. I'm going to put that back in my box. This is light medium rose, kind of pinky colored. I've got deep almond. I'm just doing a lightish pressure, like enough to get the crayon going on the page, but not super, super hard. But you can always talk with the kids about, okay, if you're kind of in between colors here, you can play around with how hard you're pressing on the crayon, how much pressure you're using. Nice chance for vocab word. This is extra light almond. Oh dear. That is That is quite light. And you know what? I think that's even a little light for me here. Light rose. See, I'm looking at myself against this golden and the rose, and I think I might go in the direction of a rose. I've tried an almond, a rose, a golden. Those are the 3 base words. I'm not sure if light medium rose is my color, but I think it matches better than a golden. So here we go. This is the light rose. Let's see. You know what? I think your girl might be a light rose. It is harder to see this over camera, honestly, compared to me in person. But in person, the light rose is really looking close to my skin tone here. Ooh, light rose. Who knew? Who knew? Let me just show you a couple of these other colors here while I'm making my swatch. This is extra deep almond. Oh, look at that. This is so much richer to me than the brown crayon. Like, look at the depth of that color. I love this. This is a color that I don't remember seeing in a normal Crayola packet, and it's gorgeous. This reminds me of Candy in the book Who Looks Like a Princess. Look at Candy here. She's definitely gonna fall into that almond family. Just gorgeous. Let's see about another golden. Ooh, extra deep golden. Actually, I want to see this against extra deep almond. This definitely has much more of a yellow gold undertone. That's interesting. You can see like the colors are on the same depth here, but they really are different from each other. There's so much choice here with these colors. So we've got 24 different crayons here. Create this so that you can keep it around, so that your child, maybe they can put a little mark like me. I think I'm gonna go light rose. I'm just gonna put like a little star next to that, so I remember when you're coloring with other family members, you might want to do a quick swatch with them. So just keep these swatches in a safe place. You can see it took a little bit of time to make, but it's really special. You know what? Is this a peach crayon? Apricot! Oh my god, look at the difference! Look at the difference here. This is so orange. Okay, I don't think I have a peach. This is the brown, just to compare. And it just kind of stinks because I feel like this was it. If you have a bigger pack, you might have like a tan in between or something, but this is what you were working with. Maybe this is something to talk about with kids too, this frustration point of like, listen, we're not always gonna have these. And in class, you're not gonna have these. Like, this is what you're getting in school. This is what you're getting. At home, we might be drawing this way, and at school, we might be kind of stuck here. And just dealing with that frustration, I think there's some really productive conversations that can happen from that. Again, this is something I took on as a teacher because I was interested in it. I had time, but what I'm doing now is not standard. After the kids were all set with their swatches and had drawn a few pictures, I would lead them to make a self-portrait project. Now this went along with a larger school-wide event, so it was a perfect time for the kids to draw self-portraits. I would show them some examples from art. I showed them these self-portraits of Frida Kahlo. I also showed them Ken Hine Wiley with these gorgeous florals in the background. So I would really let them study some examples of making a very realistic version of themselves and then a fun background. What this did was it overcame the barrier of drawing a lot of different things. If I could take the pressure off of them and say like, hey, the bare minimum in the background here is some polka dots. If you want to do something fun, you can. It just let them really focus in on what the whole point of it was, coloring with their correct skin tone and making a face that looks like a real face. It's kindergarten, y'all, you know. One final artist I would show them is Kyle Mosher. He lives in Charlotte, where I live. He has a lot of murals and interesting art around town. What I really wanted to show is his expertise in making gorgeous patterns and collages and repeating the same shape again and again, but making the shapes look individual. And yeah, once they had an idea, we would get to it. This is the template that I would use with the kids. Now, I'm not going to take you through a whole drawing lesson here, and I have no business taking you through a drawing lesson. My drawing impresses kindergartners, but definitely not adults. I really tried to make this project special. It's not often that we got to take the time to truly make an art project in class. A lot of times it's a quick craft after a writing component. Now you'll have to forgive me here for not actually drawing out a face, but I'm just trying to work quickly here and not be totally roasted by people on YouTube. Somehow, even though I make videos on here, I have some remaining pride. My scary little Lord Voldemort self. Look at this gorgeous woman. Is this not art? Is this not art? But I'll just cut this out so you can kind of get an idea of what it would actually look like in the end. Here's my pattern, and then we would glue right here. This was for young children, one of the first times they had really been held accountable to making a piece of art that took a couple of days. And so their investment by the end was really, really high. If you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to like it and comment below. That way YouTube knows to boost it to other people who might also like this video. When I reached out to my subscribers, I was asked on Instagram twice actually, what if my child is picking out the wrong color for their skin? It's not just the wrong color, it's not like a shade or two off. Like, it is truly not the color of their skin. This can be really tough. It is disturbing to see children pick out the wrong skin color. I saw this very often, and in particular, I often saw girls in my class that weren't white choosing to color themselves as white or with very, very pale color. I did see this go in the opposite direction as well. See if you can guide them one-on-one during the swatching process before coloring. I think that can help a lot to let them be away from the paper, actually go through the process and see what they see. Because if they've already colored the picture and now you're going back and you'd be like, whoa, 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 we just did all that. Why did you pick out a crayon that's not your color? They're going to resist. They just worked on something. They just finished it. Come in the next day and start again with a new project. This way they'll have an open mind and a little more bandwidth to actually be thinking through what they're doing. But if your child is really insisting that they are a different color, you're going to have to come in another way. I don't think that this is something you can solve quickly because it's something that maybe they've internalized on some level. Introduce some new media and toys with characters that are matching their tone. It might be that they are not getting exposure to heroes that look like them. And then what you might want to do too is get coloring with other kids that are similar tones to them. Brothers and sisters, friends, especially if it's somebody maybe a little older, somebody that they like. It might be a little bit of a phase. While I know that there are kids that have really internalized some things, I also know that kids get obsessions with certain characters. I would see that this is akin to a child that is obsessed with Spider-Man. I say that because I don't think this is always as big of a problem as we the adults think that it is. Yes, like the fear is, oh my gosh, your self-esteem. What do you see yourself as? What does your inner voice say about you? It's possible that it's just related back to childhood interest in various characters. And hopefully over time it will start to change and they'll start to realize like, oh yeah, that's not what I look like. I recently went to my parents' house and I found the copy of the book that I was working on with Bryce. I remember when it was done, it looked so bad because I had started coloring with a black crayon. He corrected me to do brown and then I colored just like brown over it. And I remember it just made the entire picture look terrible. Here's the page that had Bryce on it. Oh, okay, good. I remember drawing this picture and I think it must have been on the rough draft, because this actually looks a lot better. Why I'm standing here in like a little bikini number as a fourth grader, I don't really know, but whatever. My teacher got me to write an entire book, which I published and still have to this day. So he must have been doing something right. I'm so glad Bryce caught that in the moment. It was very embarrassing for me at the time, and I don't think I even understood why it was so embarrassing. Now I look back, there's so many layers to why it was a difficult moment for me, but I'm just really glad that we've moved on towards the horizon, both personally in my growth, and I think as a society, we've gotten a lot more interested in representing how people actually look and representing all different types of peoples in our books. So what do you think? Will you be using skin-colored crayons with your children? Any tips or tricks to help kids catch on to this more quickly? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching Primary Focus. My name's Natalie. I'll see you next time. Wait, don't go yet. I've got some more videos that I think that you'd like. Hope you check them out.